Sanibona and welcome to part 2 of you at UKZN. Yabona-ke la sizama ukukusiza. Njengoba ususuka esikoleni uzoqala uzongena e-university manje izinto zenziwa ngendlela ethe ukuhluka la ukuze ungabhayiziseki sicathulise sisheshe sikucebise nangezinto okumele uzazi uzinake ukuze ufunde kahle la. So basically nje helping you adjust to the university and to share some tips on how you can cope better with challenges that are experienced by most first years. I am Mr. Zuma. Okay, so this is what you can expect from this presentation. We'll first look at the common challenges faced by first-time entry students, basically students who are coming to the university for the first time. What do they usually deal with? And then we'll look at the issue of adjusting to the university, because ukufika la kuba inkingana indlela izinto ezenzeka ngayo makuthi awuzijwayele, so adjusta kanjani. We'll also share tips to help you start well, and then we'll talk about time management because it's that important when you're at the university, especially under our college AES. Okay, ama-fresh avamise ukudila naziphi nje iy'nkinga kahle kahle. Common challenges faced by first year students. Identity issues. You know, your late teenage years asuke ehamba nalento yokusho ukuthi usufuna ukuzazi kahle 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 ukuthi ngubani ngempela, not just nje ngegama nesibongo, but iziphi izinto eziwakhayo nezichazayo as a person, trying to establish yourself. You know, you're trying to put a stamp on what you like, what you do not like. That's why even when you connect with people now, you are looking for solid friendships. You know, you want people that you can connect with. You are establishing yourself in terms of choosing a career, you know, that's going to define your life, in the next years. So you're basically working on finding yourself. Some people would even be unsure as to their identity when it comes to sexual orientation and things like that. So identity becomes quite a big thing, and we are all in that space of trying to find ourselves. You touch this, you realize, this degree is not me, let me try that. You know, establishing yourself, that can be a challenge at first year. Students from outside KwaZulu-Natal, most times you'll be realizing that you're struggling with language, you know, and there may be certain habits that are a bit foreign to you, so it becomes much more of a culture shock as in izinto that maybe I'm not really used to things being done this way, and sometimes feeling a bit isolated, you know, and feeling a bit alone, where you miss the comfort of the support you get from home. You know, suddenly you have to be so far, you have to rely on calls to reach out to people at home. It can also be a problem ukuthi une freedom eningi. You know, abanye bethu basuke emakhaya la sibhekwa khona kakhulu, siyagadwa, asenzi noma kanjani. Suddenly you are at a space where you are your own boss, basically. You do not have that guardian parent who's watching over you and shouting over you. You can stay in front of a screen the whole day, nobody will be shouting and asking about homework and things like that. So that freedom, it can really damage some of us as first years. For the first time, we'll have to manage our monies. Maybe some of you haven't really been in a position whereby you're getting paid in a way. U-NSFAS uyafaka ama-allowance kuphela inyanga, and fanele le mali engiyifakeliwe ngikwazi ukuthenga ngayo ukudla okuzongilasta enough inyanga yonke. Mhlambe ngifuna nokugqoka lana, sengifuna nokuhambisa imali ekhaya. So kuba ingcindezi ngempela ukuthi uyibamba kanjani imali yakho, uyisebenzisa kanjani, and izinto lezo ongasizakala ngazo njalo for counseling mawubona ukuthi they are a problem. Choice of degree. There are students who come to the university pursuing degrees that were their first or second options, but you do find also students who are pursuing degrees that they are really not sure about, that they were not planning really to do, and sometimes that can cause some problems in as far as affecting your work ethic, as you maybe lack passion for it, or maybe you do have the passion for the degree, but you're just struggling to connect with it in as far as the skills that are required to cope. So those are common challenges for first year students. Managing academic demands. You may be coming from high school where you were doing 6-7 subjects, suddenly you'll be doing 4. If you are doing a science degree, 4 per semester, and you might think, it's not bad. It does get challenging. I don't mean to scare you, but it does prove to be a lot of work, and some students really struggle to manage those. But we'll deal with that in this presentation as to how do you find a way of coping when it really feels a bit too much. One thing that also proved to be a problem for most first years is this thing of being overconfident. When you feel like, I know this. That's why even somebody may be listening to this and be like, I don't need this information, I've got it. We do have a lot of students who are not even going out to look for support. There are workshops being done to help them get the necessary skills to cope better with their academic work, and they won't come because they feel like, I've got this, I know this, So try to watch your confidence, that it doesn't really prove to be poor judgment, where you relax even when you should actually be paying attention. Some students are not even going to class because they feel like, I know, I understand, and I can study this on my own, I don't need to be in a class. Yeah, so watch out for that. It is a problem for most first years. So you've been at high school, now Susa University. Yafana, well, not quite. There is quite a shift from high school to university. It's really not the same, and it's mainly due to the fact that when you're at university, you are in control. There is a lot of learning that happens independently. At high school, we have a lot of teachers who check up on you. Even if you are given homework, somebody wants to check if you've done it. You're not likely to get that here at university. So the university assumes that you are a grown-up that is able to make informed decisions. So you need to be a good manager of yourself to succeed here. Also, the lecture room environment, even teaching styles may not be things that you are familiar with compared to what you know at high school. I mean, khona abanye benu abazobe beqala nje ukungena kuma lecture rooms bafundiswe umuntu webala ehlukile, or bafundiswe ama-lecturers that are international. Abanye nje sebajwayele ukuthi yonke into ifundwa ngesiZulu, iqoqwa ngesiZulu, so yizo zonke izinto ezingaba ushintsho lezi ongathi uma ufika eklasini uzibone. Time management. There will be times where you feel like you have too much time, especially if time is not properly managed and you are not doing what you should be doing. Or sometimes you'll feel like, hey, the 24 hours is insufficient, especially when you realize there's just so much to do. So it becomes quite a big part of the university, time management, and we'll discuss that just now. Culture shock as well, as previously discussed. So finding a balance between your personal or social life to your academic life is very, very important. And you'll realize here that there is a much bigger need for you not to suffer in silence. I know many of the students might have survived high school with just relying upon themselves. Here, it's really good practice. If you were to ask people who have come through the system, have graduated, and you ask them on coping strategies, you're likely to hear more people telling you you need to raise a hand and ask for help. Okay, sakuthaimisa-ke manje. Yini ezokusiza tips to help you start well? 1. Attend orientation events. When you come for orientation, you are being introduced to the university, introduced to the services that are available for you, and you will know what is expected of you. So at least it gives you a good start ukubakuma orientation events because you get to understand ukuthi kwenzekani vele. Ask for credible help when you hit bumps on the road. It's expected that as a first year student, there will be a lot of things you do not understand. And there are no stupid questions. Ask anything. Ask anything. There is always somebody who's getting paid every month just to support you, who's very determined, waiting on you to raise your hand. So academic support staff, when you realize the modules are actually chowing you now and you are not coping, they are proving to be difficult. Student support staff, including ourselves at counseling services, when you realize that you are dealing with some challenges which are now impacting on your studies. Student leaders, FYE mentors, which will be assigned to you. Ask for credible help when things are not going your way, or you just need clarity on things. It's okay not to know. What's wrong is when you do not ask for help. At university, you really need to manage your time wisely. The difference between students who make it and those who do not has to do a lot with their attitudes to time. If you manage your time wisely, you have a better chance of succeeding there. So have a routine, have a way of doing things, have a work plan. I'll talk about that in detail more when I get to time management. And you need to be consistent in what you are doing. You can't afford to have a very good week and then you have 3 weeks where you are lazy as hell, and then you come back for another 2 weeks. It doesn't really work that way. Stay positive. The university will test you. Most of you haven't failed. You come to university, you haven't even failed homework in your life, and suddenly you'll be tested by some modules. No matter how challenging they are, they'll be challenging somebody with potential. So you need to remember that yes, they may be challenging, but you have the potential to deal with the challenge. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. So don't forget your power, stay positive, and make sure that you look for help when things become difficult. Do not miss lectures. So if you're wondering that if you can still pass without going to class, hell no, it's not gonna happen. Go to lectures, even those that you find to be boring. Most times you find that by the time you're writing your test or writing your exams, it's things that have been discussed in the classroom, and there is so much that you miss out on if you are not attending classes. And that's your opportunity to be asking questions on those sections that are a bit more, or topics that are a bit more difficult for you. So Do go to class, go to lectures. Don't let them fool you. It's important to be in class. Okay, stay positive and true to yourself. Most times you find that students know what is right for them, and they know what is expected of them, and they know what needs to be done for them to achieve their goals, but somehow they become easily influenced by others and submit to peer pressure. Be true to yourself. Find your voice and have the courage to say no when you realize that whatever is being said and advised does not align with your goals. Be responsible for your health. When I say health, I mean in all aspects. Eat well, look after that body. You will need that body to carry you throughout that semester. So take good care of it by giving it good nutrition and giving it decent sleep. It's important to have decent sleep. The university will bombard you with a lot of work at times, but don't compromise on your sleep. That's where you recharge your batteries. That's where you shut down so that you wake up the next day, you are mentally strong and ready to continue with the day. To avoid any mental exhaustion, do make sure that you get decent sleep, exercise, and practice good sexual health. If you're sexually active, there are clinics on campus. There is CHASU that provides health services. So you really have a lot of support and services in place to ensure that you remain in good health sexually. All right, I told you that the university requires you to be responsible, for your studies, as people will not be checking up on you. All right, a note on independent learning. When the semester starts, as you are introduced to your modules, each module is likely to have a course outline. The course outline will tell you about sections that will be covered in that module and when and how. Basically we'll cover the section around this time of the month, and then we'll have assessments, a test around this time, and lecturer A will be responsible for this, lecturer B will be responsible for this. We need you to have this kind of resources for this module, prescribed books, whatever the case is. So you will know early about the whole module, so it becomes very important to plan and keep on track. Most times when students are struggling because they are writing a few tests in 1 week, I would often ask, is it because you were told late that you have this test, or you realized late? And the answer is often that they realize late that too. So uplana nje varsity is very important. Thatha le course outline, ubheke ama-date, ube nendlela yokwa-recorda and begin to work towards that. Make sure you use consultation times. Ama-lecturers then azoba ney'khathi la anilindele khona ukuthi nizobuza amaninkinga, hhayi ukuthi ulinde kuze kube uthi uyibhala i-test kuyima uzoconsult. Buza nje esusafunda amakhona izinto ongaboni kahle ukuze ungasali. Make use of those consultation times. There is extra academic support available that comes in the form of academic development officers, kuzoba nama-supplementary instructions. You will have your FYE mentors, you will have demonstrators. There is a lot when it comes to academic support. Make use of those services. And if in spite of all of that you realize that I'm still struggling, talk to us. We're there for that purpose, to help you. A note on time management. This is very important, and I'm of the view that it's actually one of the biggest threats to students' academic success. I feel the difference between students who make it and those who do not really has to do with time, most times. Okay, and we borrow from Ellen Lacan when he said, "Time is life. Therefore, waste your time and waste your life. You master your time, you master your life. It's that important." Study time. At university, if you can commit to at least 3 hours of work every day, outside your lecture times, 7 days a week, it means in each week you would have spent about 21 hours of work. And if you can do that, so you start attending your classes, once you are done and it's done for the day, if you can find 3 hours which you dedicated to doing your academic work, it could be anything really that you are doing there. One could be using that time to reflect on what has been studied, basically to revise. One may be preparing for assessments. One may be looking at the next chapters in certain modules. If you just use it on your academic work, your chances of not doing well are very slim. You're likely to be successful, and you do it consistently. The importance of having a routine, having a work plan, a way of life, whereby you're not just led by the spirit. You have structure in your life. So into zakho hleleke nje ungahola umoya evasithi. Uyakudinga ukuthi nje into zakho uhlele kahle ukuze ukwazi ube nesikhathi sencwadi, ube nesikhathi sakho, ukwazi ukuba ngisho nesikhathi sokuphumula, ukwazi ukurecharge ama-batteries akho, ungazi exhaust ngale ndlela ukuthi ngakusasa makuvukwa awusenalutho futhi uzoqala ngakho. So i-routine helps in many ways. One, if you have a routine, it also manages your social space. Your friends need to know when do you become available. Ungabi nje i-battery everyday vele umuntu abe available noma inini. Your friends need to understand, okay, we're likely to have Mr. Zuma around this time. After these times, he's very busy, he's not taking any calls, he's occupied. Where this one usually goes to gym around this time, or around this time probably off to bed. It might not always be the case, hence it's a routine, but it actually tells us most times than not you're likely to do around such and such times. Okay, so if we are so used to you doing things a certain way, we end up respecting your times. If that person, as in the example, always goes to church on Sunday mornings, we may try to visit and find that they are away to church. We may try again on another day, Sunday, and realize they are off to church. Trust me, there will be a time where we don't even try because we assume they're at church. And they might not even be at church that day, but they've become predictable. They have a routine. We know on Sundays they go to that. That's number one. So it manages your social environment. Unlike somebody with a group of friends and that person is available just about any time. So that person will never have times that are reserved for their studies because they are available anyhow. And these people who are friends will expect them to be available at any time. Okay. Secondly, it also supports your body as well. When you're so used to operating in a particular way, your body also warms up to your routine. So if you used to going to bed around particular times, when those times come, eventually you'll realize that you do feel sleepy because you're getting used to it. So if you don't have a routine, it becomes difficult because there will be times where you are really determined to study, you're very motivated, but you are too tired to do it. because you don't have a way of working that actually gives support to your body as well. So it also helps you balance things out so that you have time for your studies, which is your priority, but also you are able to have time for other essential things, a bit of your social life and extracurricular activities. So have a plan, have a strategy, and it doesn't have to look the same. We operate differently. Understand what works for you. Make sure you have enough hours where you are studying. Make sure you have times to catch your breath and relax. Make sure you have time to sleep. It will also be critical of you to plan in advance. Remember I told you about course outlines that you're likely to receive as soon as the semester starts? Now you need to go to your calendar, 2024 calendar, semester calendar, and begin to plot those assessment dates. Know what's coming ahead. Don't wait for the storm to be knocking at your door before you start getting busy with things. There will be times where you realize, when you do this well, you realize sometimes that, okay, it might look a bit far, but when it comes, it's going to be a lot of commitments, and I'm not going to find enough time to prepare for all. Maybe as much as it looks far, it's not really, considering the work that I need to cover. If you don't have something like this, you become what I call the H next week kind of students. H next week we have 3 tests. H next week we have this. H next week we... So you realize then this person doesn't plan well. They realize that they have these commitments when they are just there. So plan well in advance. This will come in handy in as far as your studies. And it also helps you in preparing your studies. Remember we told you that you need at least 3 hours a day after class to just dedicate it to your studies. If you have something like this, you know, okay, I'm so close to that test, I'm so close to that assignment, maybe let me just use this time to work towards that. So it makes your studying becomes a bit smarter. There are habits that you really need to attend to, which will always be threats to good time management: perfectionism, procrastination, and poor planning. Perfectionists are those people who try to get things done perfectly, and because they want everything to be proper 100% without any fault, they end up having piles of work, that is not attended because they are so stuck with one task. I've given you examples of planners, the monthly planners. You have your weekly planner as well, which is more for your routine. If you realize you're a perfectionist, planning becomes really important so that you know, I only have an X amount of time for this, and I need to do Y once I'm done with X, so that you do not find yourself being so stuck on one thing. But also it would be important for you to remember that at the university you may not always have enough time to perfect everything. So long as you submit your work knowing that you have done a good job in getting it to be as decent as possible, then you can be at peace. Work doesn't have to be perfect. Sometimes it just needs to be good enough. But if you are really struggling with perfectionism, your planning will become really, really important, so that you have these commitments as dates for doing work and the deadlines, and have strict deadlines to work on. I'll deal with procrastination just now, but this is when people start putting things off until the last minute. So you keep promising yourself, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna start. You keep motivating yourself, and every time you disappoint yourself because you never do what you have planned to do. You push it, push it up until it's really stuck on the wall and you can't push it anymore. Poor planning. These are problems with planning ahead and balancing tasks, but I think in the previous slides, we've shed some light on how you can work on those. Now, let's come back to the biggest demon, procrastination. Okay, I'm saying it's the biggest demon because a lot of students actually struggle with that. This is what you can try and to actually win against procrastination. Generate a system of rewards and punishment. So basically, when you are procrastinating, it could be for a number of reasons. It might be that the work is difficult, or maybe the subject you are doing is a bit boring, it doesn't excite you, or maybe you just don't know how to do it and things like that. So you are escaping it for a reason. And when you escape it, you're not likely to leave it because it's boring and do something that's also boring. You're likely to go for something that's fun, that you enjoy doing, even if it's just chatting with friends, even if it's just playing music, even if it's just having a snack. And the system of rewards and punishment is actually you making a commitment to yourself that that which I run to because it's fun, that which I enjoy, is something I'll still indulge on, but only after some work. So you end up breaking your work into pieces and say, okay, I know I'm likely to avoid this subject. Let me just do 30 minutes of it, and then I'll do something I enjoy, maybe for 10 minutes as a break, and come back to it. But it becomes a system whereby pleasure is always following work. Quick scenario. You are in a very filthy house. Your mom comes. She's not impressed that the house is dirty, and she wants it cleaned. And all she tells you is, clean up quickly because we really need to go shopping. I need to buy you what you've been longing for some time. You're very likely to be quick with the cleaning because you are not thinking about the cleaning itself. You are thinking about what's coming after the cleaning. So you'll be very fast in doing, and you'll do your cleaning. But picture the same situation, but this time mom is saying, okay, it's filthy here, let's go shopping, let me go out, spoil you, you'll come back and clean. Do you think the appetite to clean will be the same when you start by shopping? Yeah, so begin to scrutinize all these activities that you do which are escaping work, and begin to ask yourself, what can I use to get myself working? Okay, I'm enjoying a nice series. Okay, how about I push an hour of work and then I push one episode of a series, and I'm not watching that episode when I haven't done this particular part. So in that way, the episode becomes a motivational factor to get me working. All right, but you can also ask someone to check up on you. Make good friends. Good friends want to see you win. Good friends could give advices that are in the interest of assisting you achieve what you came here for. So find those people who will be your deputy mamas, deputy fathers, who will be shouting at you when you are on that phone non-stop and you are not doing your work. But more than anything, plan your work. Schedule the time of starting a task and the time of completion. Be in control. So no times that are for relaxation, no times that are for work, and give yourself some credit. Acknowledge your feelings, do not ignore them. When you realize that, no, I'm being a bit discouraged by this, I'm really being frustrated by this, you acknowledge those feelings. They are normal. It's okay to have them. We all have them. We're human beings. Do not ignore them, actually. It also helps to break your work into smaller manageable tasks. So when you feel like there's just too much to do, break it down. Let's try and eat this elephant brick by brick and learn to say no to time wasters. There are many things that we allow ourselves to do when we really do not have interest in them, and we say yes to things that we know are not good for us simply because we don't have the courage to be assertive enough. It's something that you need to learn, and if you feel like you're struggling with that, it's something you can also come to counseling for. Start with unpleasant tasks. So when your energy levels are still on a high, do them. So if I say at least dedicate 3 hours outside lecture times, one may be thinking, okay, my 3 hour will start at maybe 8:30 in the evening. I'm just making an example. So if you are starting then and you are doing 3 modules, module A, module B, module C, but you really do not like module C, you find it boring, it doesn't excite you, that should be prioritized, because you might be tired for module A when you finish at 10 or 10:30, but if it's something you're really passionate about that excites you, you are likely to cover it as well. And we can't say the same for something that you leave towards the end when you do not really like it. In summary, this is how we're managing time. We need to get the mindset right for starters. The discipline needs to be there, and my simplest definition of discipline is doing that which you know you should be doing and not doing that which you know you should not be doing. So no amount of information on time management will ever help you if the attitude is not right. So you need to want this. You need to be committed to doing well academically. You need to be motivated to achieve something out of the university, because if really your mind is not here and your heart is not here, you'll be that horse that keeps being pushed to the waters but still fails to drink anything. So your motivation, have specific goals of what you want to achieve in the semester, and when you do well, acknowledge yourself, reward yourself. You need to plan. I've given you monthly planners, I've shown you weekly planners. Have a plan. Don't be led by the spirit. Find ways to deal with procrastination, perfectionism, poor planning, and all these things that are a threat to good time management. And manage yourself and your environment. Some of you will be staying in off-campus residencies. Some of you will be sharing with 2 students or maybe 3 even. So it might not be as smooth to study under those circumstances, but it becomes your responsibility to find ways to win under those circumstances. Okay, given that I'm off campus, I travel, how then can I capitalize in protecting my time, in making sure that I do not fall behind? What is it that I need to do that students who are in on-campus residencies are not doing? So you need to manipulate your environment to suit your goals. Since I live with a Rumza, how do I study? Do I go to the library instead because I get distracted in the house? Or since when I'm in the house, I tend to be lazy and I eat a lot, I end up doing a lot of things that has nothing to do with school. Is it best if I go to a lecture hall maybe? Those kind of things. You need to find ways to manage your environment. As we close, here are the 6 golden rules. 1, don't fall behind. Don't play catch up. Try by all means to be level with what is being taught. Let your notes be on point. If you feel like you're falling behind, find ways of catching up. But when you go to class, get a sense that what I'm doing here is what everyone else is doing, so that you are not left behind. Closely linked to that, understand as you go along. There will be things that do not make sense, that are a bit hazy, that are hard to understand. Go look for information so that you are told and assisted on time. Do not wait up until you have a test to go ask about something that was taught 2 months ago. Understand as you go along. Use your friends, use your fellow students, previous students who might have done well in that module also. Your lecturers are there, ADOs are there, your FYE mentors. Ask. Number 3, do things now. Procrastination is a thief of time. Just get things done as soon as you can do them. Do them immediately. And number 4, be consistent in your work. Right. Do not have phases where you do so well there and then suddenly you drop the ball and you disappear, you come back again. It doesn't really help. 5, don't give up. You need to be persistent. When things hit you, when it's not going your way, you need to have those moments where you sit and reflect and try to understand, what is it that I'm missing? What is it that I'm not doing? What is it that I should be doing? And ask for help. Lastly, live a balanced life. University is not meant to be boring. There's so much life going on here. So meet your social needs as well. We're not advocating for nerds. Find a balance between work and play. And if you do your planning properly, and if you manage your planning well, you'll realize that there is indeed time to also have a bit of fun here. Guys, we wish you the best of luck, and may this year be a successful year, and we're there to support you just like everyone else. We're rooting for you to pass and do well in your studies. Sinifisela wonke okuhle bafethu ngathi ngihamba kahle. Sibonga.